In this video we gonna short recap a movie called John Wick. Chapter 3 is the sequel to the 2017 action thriller film John Wick 2. John Wick is making his way through Manhattan before he is labeled excommunicado for the unauthorized killing of high-table crime lord Santino D'Antonio. At the New York Public Library, John retrieves a marker medallion and a rosary. John and Ernest have a fight, resulting in John using a book to break Ernest's jaw and snap his neck. John is left with a stab wound on his shoulder and seeks medical treatment from an underworld doctor. His excommunicado status activates before the doctor can finish, and John's $14 million bounty is in full effect after he stitches himself up. John leaves and is immediately set upon by a wave of assassins. They corner him in an antique arms shop, so John uses the old weaponry to kill them in a barbaric series of fights involving all kinds of antique knives. John uses the horses and their powerful kicks to kill several foes. He leaves the stables on horseback but is followed by two men on motorcycles. John kills them both from horseback. John's bounty is raised to $15 million. John meets with the director, the head of the Ruska Roma crime syndicate, where he presents the rosary and demands safe passage to Casablanca. As John was once a member, the director unwillingly agrees. Meanwhile, a high-table adjudicator meets with New York Continental manager Winston, informing that he must step down from his position due to the fact that he allowed John to live after spilling blood on Continental grounds. And she also visits Bowery King.
You gave John Wick 7 bullets. The High Table is giving you 7 days. In 7 days, you abdicate your throne.
Be no replacement for me on the throne, because I am the throne, baby.
In Casablanca, John meets Sophia, his former friend and manager of the Moroccan Continental. John presents the marker, which binds Sophia to return a debt to John. John rescued Sophia's daughter and put her in hiding. John demands to be directed to the Elder, the only person above the High Table. Meanwhile, the adjudicator enlists Zero, a Japanese assassin, and orders him to stab the director through both of her hands as penance for aiding John. Sophia unwillingly takes John to Barada, her former boss, who tells John he may find the Elder by wandering through the desert until he can no longer walk. When Sophia refuses to give Barada one of her trained Belgian Malinois, he shoots the dog but hits its bulletproof vest.
Sophia, don't.
He shot my dog.
I get it.
They fight their way out of the Casbah and drive into the desert, where she leaves John. 7 days later, the adjudicator and Zero confront the Bowery King, who refuses to quit his position. In response, Zero's students slaughter his men while the Bowery King is slashed 7 times with a wakizashi. Meanwhile, John collapses in the desert and is brought to the Elder. John states that he wants to live to keep the memory of the love he once had with his late wife. The Elder agrees to forgive John if he kills Winston and remains obedient to the High Table for the remainder of his life. To show his fealty, John severs his ring finger and gives his wedding ring to the Elder. John returns to New York and is attacked by Zero and his students before reaching the protection of the Continental. The adjudicator arrives, but Winston refuses to resign and John refuses to kill him, leading the adjudicator to revoke the Continental's neutral status and send both Zero and an army of heavily armed high-table enforcers to kill John and Winston.
Our service is still off limits to me. What do you need? Guns. Lots of guns.
Winston provides John with weapons and the assistance of Attendant Sharon and his staff. After killing all the enforcers, John is ambushed by Zero and his students. John proceeds to kill all, but he spares 2 of them. Zero battles John but is eventually defeated and left to die. On the roof of the Continental, the adjudicator agrees to negotiate with Winston, who offers loyalty to the High Table. John arrives.
What are we going to do about John Wick?
He has to die.
Winston reassumes his position, and the severely injured John is secretly delivered to the Bowery King in an underground bunker.
This High Table shit. How do you feel? 'Cause I am really pissed off. You pissed, John? Are you? Yeah.
The end. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more movie recaps, and thanks for watching.